A white man taunted a black homeless woman. What happened next will blow your mind. Alex walked confidently into the park cafe, holding his head high and smiling proudly. The sun was shining, but it wasn't as bright as the sparkle in his eyes. He saw his coworkers sitting at their usual table, adjusted his fancy suit, and ran his hand through his neatly styled hair before joining them. "Hey guys," he said with a voice full of pride. "Hope you didn't start without me. I've got some big news to share." His coworkers exchanged looks. Already knowing Alex loved to brag, they prepared themselves for what he would say next. "Guess who just got promoted to senior manager?" Alex didn't wait for them to guess. "That's right, me. The youngest in company history, by the way." He leaned back in his chair, enjoying the moment. The waiter came by, and Alex ordered the most expensive thing on the menu without even checking the prices. "You know," he continued, "it's all about hard work and wanting success. Some people are just born to be winners, and others—" He shrugged, leaving the rest unsaid. His coworker Olivia forced a smile. "Congratulations, Alex, that's quite an achievement." Alex grinned, not noticing the slight sarcasm in her voice. "Thanks, Olivia. Maybe if you work some extra hours, you might get there one day too." The group fell into an awkward silence, only broken by the sound of their silverware clinking on their plates as their food arrived. But Alex didn't notice the tension. He started talking about his recent business trip, telling them about the fancy hotel suite he stayed in. "You should have seen the view from the top floor," he bragged, eating his expensive salad. That's how they treat the real movers and shakers. As Alex went on and on about his achievements, his coworkers' eyes glazed over. They had heard all this before, how he closed big deals, how top bosses asked for his advice, how he was destined to be great. "I always knew I was meant for big things," Alex said, not noticing the eye rolls around him. "Like my dad always said, the cream rises to the top, and let me tell you, I'm the creamiest cream there is." He laughed at his own joke while his coworkers forced polite smiles. As lunch dragged on, Alex's self-centered talk continued, leaving no room for anyone else to speak. His arrogance filled the air like a thick cloud, making it hard for anyone to have a real conversation. As Alex and his coworkers ate, the conversation stayed focused on his recent promotion and how he thought he was better than everyone else. The park was busy with families enjoying picnics and joggers passing by on the nearby path. In the middle of his meal, Alex noticed a woman sitting on a bench. She was a black woman, middle-aged, with worn-out clothes and an old backpack beside her. Her eyes looked tired, but there was a quiet strength in how she sat and watched the world around her. Alex's lip curled in disgust. He nudged his coworker Ethan and pointed at the woman with his fork. "Would you look at that?" he said loud enough for others to hear. "Some people just don't want to help themselves." Ethan looked uncomfortable and avoided Alex's eyes. "I don't know, man. Maybe she's just having a hard time," he said. Alex scoffed. "Having a hard time? Please, there are plenty of jobs out there if you're willing to work. Some people just prefer to beg and live off others' hard work." Olivia, who had been quietly eating her salad, spoke up. "Alex, that's not fair. You don't know her story." "I don't need to know her story," Alex replied. "It's always the same, isn't it? Bad choices, laziness, probably drugs. Meanwhile, people like us work hard to get ahead." Alex took another bite of his food, chewing slowly, and then said, "You know, my dad always told me, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime. But it seems like some people never learned how to fish." The group got quiet and the mood became tense. Alex didn't notice how uncomfortable everyone was and kept talking. "I mean, look at her," he said, pointing to a woman nearby. "She's not even trying to find a job, just sitting there, probably waiting for someone to give her money." As Alex continued his mean speech, his coworkers exchanged nervous looks. They were used to him being arrogant, but this was cruel, even for him. Lila, the woman he was talking about, was sitting on a bench nearby, not knowing that Alex was saying such hurtful things about her. Alex laughed loudly, and his coworkers awkwardly joined in. "I bet she's never worked a day in her life," Alex sneered, pointing at Lila with his sandwich. "She probably thinks the world owes her everything." Ethan, one of Alex's coworkers, gave a nervous chuckle and looked back and forth between Alex and Lila. Olivia, another coworker, was picking at her salad, her face showing how uncomfortable she felt. "Hey, maybe we should start a betting game," Alex joked, his voice full of sarcasm. "How long before she asks one of us for money? I give it 5 minutes." Alex turned back to his food, still laughing at his own joke. But then a stern voice interrupted. "That's quite enough, Alex." The laughter stopped right away. Alex looked up quickly, his face turning pale when he saw who had spoken. It was Mr. Lawson, Alex's boss, standing just a few feet away with his lunch tray in his hand and a deep frown on his face. "I didn't see you there," Alex stammered, his confidence disappearing. Mr. Lawson looked at Alex with cold eyes. "Clearly not," he said, "or else I hope you wouldn't have said such mean things about another person." Alex's coworkers shifted uncomfortably in their seats, not wanting to make eye contact with Mr. Lawson. The park seemed to grow quieter, as if everything around them was listening. I was just joking around, sir," Alex tried to explain, but his voice was weak. Mr. Lawson's frown deepened. "Joking at the expense of someone who has less than you? I expected better from you, Alex. Much better." Alex's face turned red with shame. He tried to say something, but Mr. Lawson held up his hand to stop him. "I think you owe that lady an apology," Mr. Lawson said, nodding towards Lila. "And then you and I need to have a serious talk about empathy and respect in the workplace." Mr. Lawson's stern look made Alex squirm in his seat. "I'm very disappointed in you, Alex," he said, his voice calm but full of anger. "Your behavior is not just unprofessional, it's downright mean." Alex's face turned even redder, and he didn't have any confidence left. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. His coworkers sat silently, staring at their half-eaten lunches. "Do you have any idea what that woman might be going through?" Mr. Lawson asked, his voice getting a little louder. "Have you ever thought about what could make someone end up homeless?" Alex shook his head, unable to look his boss in the eye. The weight of what he had done was starting to hit him, and he felt a knot in his stomach. Mr. Lawson took a deep breath, trying to calm down. "Empathy, Alex, is something I look for in all my employees. Without it, we're no better than machines." As Mr. Lawson spoke, his eyes drifted toward Lila, who was still sitting quietly on the bench. Suddenly, Mr. Lawson froze, his eyes growing wide in surprise. "It can't be," he whispered, more to himself than anyone else. Alex, noticing the change in his boss's expression, looked up. "Sir, is everything all right?" he asked. Mr. Lawson didn't answer right away. He took a few steps toward Lila, forgetting his lunch tray on the table. As he got closer, his suspicions were confirmed. "Lila?" he called out, his voice full of surprise and concern. Lila looked up, startled by hearing her name. When her eyes met Mr. Lawson's, she showed a flicker of recognition. "Mr. Lawson?" she said softly, her voice barely a whisper. Alex and his coworkers watched in stunned silence. As Mr. Lawson walked towards Lila, he was no longer the strict boss everyone knew. Instead, he looked very upset. His eyes filled with tears as he saw Lila sitting on a bench in torn clothes. He knelt down beside her and spoke softly. "Lila, I can't believe it's you. What happened? How did you end up here?" Lila looked at him with a mix of shame and sadness. Her bright eyes were now full of tears. She took a deep breath, feeling heavy with her story. Mr. Lawson turned to Alex and his friends who were watching with curiosity and discomfort. "This woman," he said, his voice choked with emotion, was one of the best teachers I've ever known. Alex was shocked. He stared at Lila, trying to figure out how she went from being an excellent teacher to living on the streets. Mr. Lawson continued speaking, placing a comforting hand on Lila's shoulder. "Lila and I worked together for years. She wasn't just a colleague, she was a close friend. Her students adored her, and her future was full of promise. Tears streamed down Lila's face, creating tracks in the dirt on her cheeks as she listened. Mr. Lawson's voice wavered as he said, "There was a fire, a terrible fire that destroyed everything she had, her home, her possessions, all gone in one night." The room was silent as everyone processed Lila's tragic story. Mr. Lawson took a deep breath and added, "Lila's husband didn't survive the fire. She lost him too." Alex and his friends gasped, their earlier behavior toward Lila now feeling painfully wrong. Lila wiped her tears with her hand and softly said, "It all happened so fast. One day I had everything, and the next day it was all gone." Mr. Lawson squeezed Lila's shoulder gently and said, "I didn't know. I'm so sorry. If I had known, I would have done something." He looked at her with deep regret. "We were such good friends. I remember all the fun times we had at work." Lila managed a small smile, recalling those memories. "Those were good times," she agreed. Alex and his friends, now fully attentive, forgot their earlier teasing as they listened to the story of the two old friends. Mr. Lawson continued, "After the fire, I tried to find you, but you seemed to vanish. I searched for months. I should have tried harder." Lila shook her head. "It's not your fault. I didn't want to be found. It was too painful. I couldn't face anyone from my past." Mr. Lawson nodded, understanding. "So what happened after that? How did you end up here?" Lila looked around at the park and the bustling city beyond. "I wandered for a while, feeling lost, but eventually I found purpose again. I began helping at homeless shelters. It gave me a reason to keep going." Mr. Lawson was surprised. "You're helping others even though you don't have much yourself?" Lila nodded. "Yes. I may not have a lot, but I can still give. I organize donations, teach basic skills, and sometimes just listen. People need someone to listen." The group was quiet, moved by Lila's words. Alex felt a lump in his throat, realizing how wrongly he had judged her. "That's incredible, Lila," Mr. Lawson said, filled with admiration. "You've always had such a generous heart. Even after everything, you still care about others." Lila shrugged, a small sparkle returning to her eyes. "Helping others keeps me going. It reminds me that there's still good in the world, even when things seem dark." As Lila spoke, Alex felt ashamed. He shifted uncomfortably, unable to meet anyone's eyes, knowing how wrong he had been to mock her. Mr. Lawson listened to Lila, a mix of sadness and admiration in his expression. When she finished, he turned to Alex with a stern look. "Alex," Mr. Lawson said, "I hope you've learned today that judging others and being unkind can have serious consequences. It's important to show compassion and respect." Alex nodded, too guilty to speak. Mr. Lawson continued, "You need to learn this lesson firsthand. Starting today, you will volunteer at the homeless shelter where Lila helps out. You'll be there every weekend for the next month." Alex's eyes widened in disbelief. "But sir, Mr. Lawson raised a hand to stop him. "No excuses. You'll spend your weekends at the shelter. This isn't a punishment. It's an opportunity for you to grow and learn about empathy." Alex nodded again, realizing there was no way out. Lila, though surprised, nodded. "We could use more help at the shelter," she said softly. Alex felt worried about how this would affect his social life, but when he looked at Lila and saw her quiet strength, he felt a bit curious and wanted to understand more. Mr. Lawson turned to Lila and asked, "Lila, would you be willing to show Alex how things work at the shelter? I think he could learn a lot from you." Lila smiled warmly. "Of course, I'd be happy to help." Alex knew his life was about to change a lot. He looked at Mr. Lawson and Lila and finally said, "I understand, sir. I'll do it." Alex felt small and ashamed as he agreed to the community service. He looked at Lila, who gave him a gentle smile, and felt a bit guilty. Mr. Lawson's stern look softened. He put a hand on Alex's shoulder and said, "This isn't to punish you, Alex. It's to help you see a world beyond your own." Lila stepped forward with a warm and encouraging voice. "Don't worry, Alex. The shelter has many wonderful people. You might learn a lot there." Alex couldn't look directly at Lila because he remembered his earlier cruel jokes. He nodded weakly, still trying to understand how things had changed so quickly. Mr. Lawson turned to Lila with a sad but hopeful look. "Thank you for your kindness, Lila. I'm sorry for what you've been through, and I'm grateful you're willing to help Alex learn and grow." Lila's smile grew warmer, her eyes shining with kindness. Alex was learning a new lesson today. He watched as Mr. Lawson and Lila talked. Alex felt a strange feeling in his chest, like a mix of shame, curiosity, and maybe a little excitement. He thought maybe there was more to the world than he had seen before. Mr. Lawson looked at Alex and said, "I hope you learn about being kind and caring. Sometimes we learn the most from unexpected places." Alex nodded. His mind was still spinning from what had just happened. He saw Lila's kind face and Mr. Lawson's hopeful look and realized that his easy life was going to change a lot. Inside, he felt a little bit of hope that this change might be good. Alex stood outside the homeless shelter, feeling out of place in his fancy clothes. The building looked old and worn, like the people around it. Alex took a deep breath, pushed open the heavy door, and walked inside. The smell of cleaning supplies and old soup hit him right away. He looked around, not sure what to do. Lila's cheerful voice broke his thoughts. "You're here," she said, smiling at him. Alex felt a bit ashamed remembering their last meeting. He thought she might be upset with him, but she wasn't. "Hi, Lila," he said quietly. "I'm here for my community service." Lila nodded and said, "Yes, don't worry. We'll start easy today." She showed him to a small closet and gave him some simple clothes to wear. Alex felt uncomfortable in the plain clothes, but Lila's smile made him feel a bit better. "Keep an open mind," Lila said. "You might learn something new here." As Alex changed into the plain clothes, he felt a mix of embarrassment and curiosity. He didn't know what to expect, but he was grateful for Lila's kindness and felt a bit ashamed of how he acted before. Lila showed Alex around the shelter, explaining that they serve 3 meals a day: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's a big job, but it helps many people. Alex looked around the shelter. It was very different from his fancy apartment. The kitchen was old and busy, with people working hard. Lila showed him where they keep donations, like clothes and blankets. "We sort through them, clean them, and give them to people who need them," Lila explained. Alex thought it looked like a lot of work and said so. Lila smiled and said, "It is a lot of work, but think about how happy someone is to get a warm coat in winter after being cold for days. That's what makes it worth it." As Alex helped around the shelter, he met different people. Lila knew everyone's name and something special about them. She greeted everyone with a smile and made them feel important. Lila handed Alex a mop and a bucket and said, "Let's start by cleaning the dining area for dinner." Alex felt unsure and didn't remember the last time he cleaned anything himself. He slowly mopped the floor, feeling tired and out of place. Lila was cleaning tables and humming happily. There. Alex asked her, "How do you do this every day?" Lila stopped and said, "Every clean table, every mopped floor, and every warm meal gives people hope. Sometimes hope is all someone needs to keep going." Her words made Alex think, but he tried to ignore it and kept mopping. Each day, Alex came to the shelter and felt different from everyone around him. He wore fancy clothes and worked hard. Lila always greeted him with a warm smile and said, "Good morning, Alex," ready to make a difference. Even though Alex didn't always respond happily, he noticed how Lila's words made others smile. He saw Lila remembering everyone's name, helping people with kind words, and celebrating their small victories. One day, Alex heard Lila comforting a sad mother who lost her job. Lila told her, "You're stronger than you know. We're here to help you get back on your feet. You're not alone." Alex saw how the mother's tears turned into a small smile. Later, as they got ready for dinner, Alex asked Lila, "How do you stay so positive?" Lila looked at him and said, "Every person who comes here has a story. They've faced hard times we can't imagine, but they're trying to make their lives better. As they got ready for dinner, Leela started telling Alex stories about the people at the shelter. She spoke softly, but with lots of feeling. She pointed to an older man folding napkins. "That's Mr. Johnson," she said. "He used to be an accountant for 30 years. Then he had some strokes, and now he can't work. His medical bills used up all his money." Alex looked at Mr. Johnson and saw he was working hard, even though his hands shook a little. Lila then talked about Maria, a young woman in the kitchen. Maria ran away from a bad relationship with just the clothes she was wearing. She's taking night classes to finish school. Alex saw Maria working quietly and realized she was strong. Next, Lila pointed to a man sorting donations. "That's Michael. He's a veteran who had a hard time after coming home. He lost his job and his house, but he has been clean for 6 months and wants to help other veterans." Lila explained, "Everyone here has a story. They've been through tough times but are still trying to have a better life. That's why I help them. Even small acts of kindness can make a big difference." Alex felt a lump in his throat as he looked around and saw the people at the shelter in a new way. They weren't just homeless people. They were individuals with stories and strength. As Alex helped Lila sort clothes, a young woman with a baby came in. She looked nervous. Leela went to her with a warm smile. Leela asked softly, "What's your name?" The young woman took a moment before answering, "I'm Leah, and this is my daughter, Lily." Her voice shook a little as she spoke. Lila's eyes became gentle. "It's nice to meet you, Leah and Lily. You both look like you need some warm food and a safe place to rest. Come with me." Lila led Leah to a table and then went to the kitchen. She came back with a tray of hot food and a bottle of formula for Lily. "Here you go. Eat up and don't worry about anything," Leela said, putting the tray in front of Leah. Leah's eyes filled with tears. "I don't know how to thank you," she whispered. Lila put a comforting hand on Leah's shoulder. "You don't need to thank me. We're here to help. Let's get you and little Lily settled for the night." As Lila helped Leah and her baby, Alex saw how kind Lila was. He noticed how she made Leah feel safe and special. Leah looked so grateful, and she seemed to relax because she found a safe place. Alex felt a lump in his throat, realizing how much he had misunderstood Lila and the people she helped. As the days went by, Alex spent more time at the shelter than he had to. He started noticing the little things he had missed before, the thankful smiles, the warm hugs when people were reunited, and the happy tears when someone found a safe place to sleep. One afternoon, while Alex was serving lunch, he met a man named Tom. Tom's face lit up with a smile as Alex gave him a bowl of soup. "Thanks, son," Tom said with a rough but friendly voice. "You're new here, aren't you?" Alex nodded and said, "Yes, I'm Alex." Tom chuckled. "Well, Alex, it's good to see someone new. How are you liking it so far?" Alex was surprised when he answered honestly, "It's different than I thought, but better." As they talked, Alex learned that Tom had once been a successful carpenter. But after some tough times, he ended up without a home. Tom's story touched Alex deeply, making him see how quickly life can change for anyone. "Sure, here's the text rewritten as you provided." One day, Lila came to Alex with a big smile. "I saw you talking with Tom earlier," she said. "Isn't he a great person?" Alex smiled back and said, "Yes, he is. I'm starting to see why you like helping here." Lila's eyes sparkled with happiness. "That's wonderful, Alex. We need help with a fundraiser for the shelter next month. Would you like to help?" Alex quickly agreed. "I'd love to. I have some ideas that might help." He felt excited and knew he really cared about the shelter now. It wasn't just something he had to do anymore. It was important to him. The next morning, when Alex arrived at the shelter, he saw Lila looking stressed with a lot of papers around her. Alex asked, "Is everything okay, Lila?" Lila looked tired but smiled. "I'm trying to plan the fundraiser, and it's a lot of work." Alex looked at the papers and saw budget lists, vendor names, and flyers. He thought he could help. Tell me more about the fundraiser, he said, sitting down. Lila's face brightened as she told him her plans. They wanted to raise money to help the shelter and maybe even open a job training center. Alex thought about how he used to organize big events at work. He knew he could use his skills to help. I think I can help with this, Alex said with a smile. Leela's eyes widened in surprise. Really? That would be amazing. Alex felt excited and wanted to help. He suggested starting with a budget, working on how to tell people about the event, and reaching out to his contacts for donations. Lila was very thankful and squeezed Alex's hand. This means so much to me and everyone here. Alex felt happy and knew he was part of something important. He wasn't just a businessman anymore. He was someone who could make a real difference. Alex and Lila started working on the fundraiser together, excited and ready to help. One day, Lila walked up to Alex with a big smile. I saw you talking with Tom earlier, she said. He's a great guy, isn't he? Alex nodded, feeling happy. Yes, he is. I didn't think I'd say this, but I'm starting to see why you like helping people. Lila's eyes sparkled with pride. That's great, Alex. We need help with a fundraiser for the shelter next month. Would you like to help? Without thinking, Alex said, I'd love to. I have some ideas that might help. As he spoke, Alex realized he really wanted to help. The shelter wasn't just a chore anymore. It was something he cared about. He felt proud of his work, even more than at his old job. That night, he went to bed feeling happy. The next morning, Alex went to the shelter and saw Lila at a desk, looking tired and frustrated with lots of papers. Curious, he walked over and asked, Everything okay, Lila? Lila looked up, her eyes tired but kind. Good morning, Alex. I'm trying to plan this fundraiser, but it's a lot of work. Alex looked at the papers with budgets, lists, and flyers. He thought he could help. Tell me more about the fundraiser, he said, sitting down. Lila's face brightened as she talked. We want to raise money to help the shelter and maybe open a job training center. But planning events isn't my strong suit. Alex listened and admired Lila's goals. He thought about his past job planning events and came up with an idea. I think I can help. I have experience with event planning and marketing. We can start by making a budget and working on promotions. I also have contacts who might donate or sponsor the event. Lila's eyes widened with joy. Really? That would be amazing. Alex felt excited. He wanted to see the shelter succeed and help people like Tom. Lila reached out and squeezed his hand, her eyes full of thanks. This means so much to me and everyone at the shelter. Alex felt warm inside. He was no longer just a businessman, but someone who could really help. He and Lila worked together with excitement, going through the papers and brainstorming ideas. Alex's skills quickly made a difference. Alex saw how hard Lila worked and how much she cared about everyone, and it inspired him. Lila's eyes filled with tears when she heard him say this. She thanked Alex, saying it meant a lot to her. As they sat quietly in the sleeping shelter, Alex felt a deep respect for Lila. He saw her looking at their plans with a serious and caring face. Alex realized that Lila's dedication was not just impressive, but also life-changing. It made him see things in a new way. He told Lila softly that he was fully committed to making the event a success, not just because he was told to, but because he believed in what they were doing and in her. Lila squeezed his hand and smiled brightly, saying she believed in him too, and that they would do great things together. When the fundraising event day arrived, the community center was full of excitement. Alex welcomed guests with a warm smile he didn't know he had. Lila, wearing a simple blue dress, moved around the room talking to people about the shelter's impact. As the evening went on, Alex found himself truly enjoying the event. He watched Lila give a touching speech about the shelter's mission, which made many people cry. When it was Alex's turn to talk about the shelter's needs and future, he spoke with passion and confidence. The auction that followed was a big success, with lots of people bidding on donated items. Alex felt proud knowing that every dollar would help someone. As the event ended, Alex and Lila joined the other organizers to count the money. They saw that they had not only reached their goal, but had done even better. Lila's eyes filled with tears of happiness as she whispered, "They did it." Alex felt many emotions: pride, accomplishment, and something he couldn't name. Alex felt like he had done something really important that would help a lot of people. Lila came up to him with a big smile and said, "Alex, I can't thank you enough. Your hard work made this happen." Alex shook his head and said, "No, Lila, it was your kindness and passion that inspired us. I just tried to help." As Alex drove home, he thought about everything that had happened. The city streets seemed different to him now, like they had stories he hadn't noticed before. He stopped his car because he felt overwhelmed. Sitting there, he thought about his first day at the shelter when he had been rude and thought he was better than everyone else. Now he felt like a stranger to that old self. He remembered Lila's kindness, the shelter residents' bravery, and the happiness at the fundraiser. He felt bad about the mean things he had said in the park. He realized he had been too focused on his own success and had not seen the real people around him. He thought about how he used to think money and fancy things were the most important, but now he felt that helping others was much more fulfilling. Alex also regretted how his mean jokes might have influenced others to be unkind. He promised himself to be better and make a positive difference. He thought about the thankful look on a young mother's face, which made him want to feel that way again, knowing he made a real difference. It was a feeling better than any promotion or bonus. On Monday, Alex nervously went to see his boss, Mr. Lawson. His hands were sweaty as he knocked on the door. Mr. Lawson told him to come in and sit down. Alex took a deep breath and started talking. "Mr. Lawson, these past few weeks at the shelter have changed me. I was angry and thought it was a punishment, but now I see it was a gift. I've learned so much from Lila and the people there. I used to be narrow-minded and mean, but I'm different now." Mr. Lawson smiled and said, "I'm glad to hear that, Alex. That's exactly what I hoped would happen. But what will you do with this new way of thinking?" Alex sat up straight, his eyes full of determination. "I want to keep helping at the shelter. I want to use what I know to make things better there. At work, I want to be a better friend and leader. I want to help others be kind, just like Lila helped me." Mr. Lawson smiled and said, "That's great, Alex. I'm proud of how much you've grown." Even after his required volunteering time was up, Alex kept going back to the shelter. He felt a strong urge to make a real difference in people's lives. One cool autumn evening, Alex arrived at the shelter with a bounce in his step. Lila, who worked there, greeted him with a happy smile. "Alex, I didn't expect you tonight," she said. Alex smiled back and said, "I know I finished my hours, but I wanted to help more. There's still a lot to do." Lila's smile grew wider. "We're always happy to have extra help. Let me show you what we're doing today." As they walked through the shelter, Alex felt more at ease. The people who once seemed strange now felt like friends. He waved at them, calling them by name. "I've been thinking about how I can help more," Alex said to Lila. Lila was curious and asked, "What do you have in mind?" Alex's face lit up. "Remember how our fundraiser did so well? I think we could have it every few months. With my Etherneting skills and your knowledge, we could get more donations and make more people aware of our needs." Lila's face beamed. "That's a great idea, but it will be a lot of work." "I'm ready for it," Alex said firmly. "I want to use what I know to help. These people deserve a chance, just like I got a chance to be better." Lila touched his arm gently, her eyes filled with emotion. "You've come a long way, Alex. I'm proud of you." Alex felt a lump in his throat and said, "It's all thanks to you in this place. You showed me what's really important. Now, I want to help others too." As they walked through the shelter, Alex's mind buzzed with ideas. He thought about not just fixing immediate problems, but making big changes. He imagined programs to teach people new skills, working with local businesses for job opportunities, and offering better health services. Alex was excited to use his skills to help Lila and everyone at the shelter. Alex walked up to Lila, looking very excited. Lila, he said, I've been thinking about how much you've done for everyone else. What about you? Have you thought about going back to teaching? Lila looked surprised and a bit unsure. Oh, Alex, I'd love to, but it's been so long and I don't have a permanent home. Alex smiled and said, That's where I come in. I know someone who's looking for a teacher for adult classes at a local community center. I think you'd be great for it. I've already talked to the director and she wants to meet you. Lila was amazed. Really? You think they'd want me? Alex said confidently. I know they would. And there's more. A friend of mine has an apartment with a small unit available. He's offering it to you for less money to start. It's not much, but it's a safe place to live. Lila's eyes filled with tears. Oh, Alex, she said softly, feeling very emotional. This is too much. I don't know what to say. Alex gently put his hands on her shoulders. Lila, you've done so much for others. It's time for someone to do something for you. You deserve this chance. Feeling overwhelmed, Lila hugged Alex tightly, crying tears of joy. Thank you, she said through her tears. Thank you so much. Alex hugged her back, feeling happy. He realized that helping Lila was a real success, not about titles or promotions, but making a difference in someone's life. When Lila and Alex pulled apart, Lila smiled through her tears. I don't know how I can ever repay you, she said. Alex shook his head and smiled. You've already done that, Lila. You showed me what really matters in life. This is just me giving back. After Alex's time at the shelter, his coworkers noticed he had changed. He was no longer the selfish person they knew. One day, Olivia asked him, Alex, you seem different. What's going on? Alex smiled and said, I've learned a lot in the past few weeks. It's not just about giving money or food, it's about being there for people and treating them with respect. His coworkers listened carefully as Alex talked about Lila and the others at the shelter. Ethan, usually skeptical, said, That's great, Alex, but not everyone has time for community service. Alex nodded. I used to think the same, but even a few hours a month can make a big difference, and you get so much more back. Alex talked about a fundraiser he helped with and how his work skills were useful. We have so much to offer. Our skills, our connections. We can make a real difference in our community. As Alex spoke, his coworkers became interested. Even Ethan seemed to think about it. Olivia said, I've always wanted to help but didn't know how to start. Alex's face lit up. Let's organize a company volunteer day. We could all go to the shelter together. I'm sure Mr. Lawson would support it. The idea excited everyone, and soon they were talking about when they could go and how they could help. As weeks went by, Lila's life started to change in ways she never thought possible. With Alex's help and his professional friends' support, she got a steady job at a local community center. The job let her keep helping people while earning money and getting benefits. One sunny day, Lila stood in front of a small apartment building, holding a set of keys. She took a deep breath, still amazed that this was really happening. Alex was beside her, smiling proudly. Go on, Lila, he said gently. It's all yours. With shaky hands, Lila unlocked the door to her new home. When she stepped inside, tears of joy filled her eyes. The apartment was small but clean and cozy, a big change from the park benches and shelters she had used to. I can't thank you enough, Alex, Lila said, her voice choked with emotion. This is more than I ever dreamed of. Alex shook his head, his own eyes misty. You deserve this, Lila, and so much more. Even with her better situation, Lila still wanted to help others. Her new stability made her want to give back even more. She continued volunteering at the shelter during her free time, now able to offer not just her time and kindness, but also her resources and connections. With her experience and skills, Lila became very helpful at the community center. She created new programs to support homeless people, using her own experiences to understand their needs. One of Lila's best ideas was a mentorship program that matched homeless people with volunteers from local businesses. This program gave practical help and helped people understand each other better. As Leela's work became known, she was invited to speak at local events and meetings. Her story of bouncing back and helping others inspired many people to volunteer and do community service. As time went by, Alex and Lila spent more time together outside of their volunteer work. Their shared experiences made their bond grow stronger. One cool autumn day, they decided to walk in the park where they first met. They both thought it was funny how things had turned out. As they walked, their breath visible in the chilly air, Alex said, "You know, Leela, I never thought I'd say this, but I'm thankful for that day you heard me being rude." Lila laughed softly. "Life teaches us funny lessons, doesn't it?" Alex agreed, looking at Lila with warmth. "You've taught me a lot about kindness, strength, and what really matters in life." Lila took his hand and squeezed it. And you've shown me that people can change and that second chances are real." Alex and Lila found a bench in the park. The sun was setting, turning the sky orange and pink. Lila said softly, "I never thought I'd have a friend like you. You've seen me at my worst and still stayed by me." Alex felt emotional and said, "You've seen me at my worst too, and you still gave me a chance to be better." They sat quietly together as the park became less busy. Their friendship was special because they understood each other and had been through tough times together. Alex said, "I used to think success was about making a lot of money, but now I see it's about helping others and making a difference." Lila agreed and said, "And the friends you make along the way." Alex smiled and felt happy. They were two friends from different backgrounds who had come together because of their shared experiences. Their friendship showed how important it is to care for and understand each other. Later, Mr. Lawson called Alex into his office. The room felt warmer than before. Mr. Lawson told Alex, "I've seen how much you've changed over the past months. Your hard work and support for Lila have been amazing." Alex felt nervous but calm. Mr. Lawson said, "The changes are all because of you. You've shown true character and grown a lot." As Mr. Lawson praised Alex's work with the shelter and his volunteering, Alex felt a warm, fulfilling feeling inside. Mr. Lawson continued, "You've not only helped Lila, but also inspired others to get involved. Your impact is bigger than I hoped for." Alex thought about the shelter and Lila's happy face. He realized that helping others felt better than chasing promotions or money. "I feel fulfilled," Alex said, surprised. Mr. Lawson smiled and said, "That is the true measure of success, touching lives and bringing positive change, not just money in your bank account." As Danon left Mr. Lawson's office, he felt really happy and proud. The praise from his boss was nice, but what made him feel best was knowing he had done good work. He was excited to keep helping at the shelter with Lila. Alex stood in the busy community center, feeling excited and a little nervous. The room was full of people, talking and laughing. Everyone was there to help raise money for the shelter. Alex couldn't believe how much things had changed. A few months ago, he wouldn't have thought organizing an event like this was a good idea, but now he was happy to see so many people supporting the cause. Lila walked over to Alex, looking very proud. "This is amazing. I can't believe how many people came," she said. Alex felt very warm inside. It's thanks to everyone's help," he replied, looking around. "I never knew so many people wanted to help if they just had the chance." Alex saw people he knew from work. Olivia from accounting was setting up a table for auction items. Ethan from Ethan Eating was talking to people to get more donations. Even Mr. Lawson was there, showing off what the shelter had achieved to some business people. The event was going great with fun activities to get people excited and give money. A local band, which Alex had asked to play for free, was playing lively music. There were food stations run by chefs from top restaurants in the city, serving tasty food. As the night went on, Alex was amazed by how many people were giving money. They were inspired by Alex's love for the cause and Lila's hard work. At the end of the night, Alex went on stage to thank everyone. Looking at all the faces, he felt emotional. This wasn't just a successful fundraiser. It was a big celebration of how people can come together to help. "Thank you all for coming tonight," Alex said with a shaky voice. "A few months ago, I wouldn't have thought this was possible. But thanks to everyone here, we've raised money for the shelter and showed how important it is to help each other." As Danon left Mr. Lawson's office, he felt really happy and proud. His boss's praise was important, but what made him feel the best was knowing he was growing and helping others. He was excited to keep working with Lila and the shelter. Alex stood in the busy community center, feeling excited and a bit nervous. The room was full of people talking and laughing, all coming together for a good cause. This wasn't just another event for the shelter. It showed how much Alex had changed. A few months ago, he wouldn't have wanted to organize this event, but now he was surrounded by friends and professionals who were eager to help. Lila came over, looking proud. "This is amazing. I can't believe how many people came," she said. Alex felt warm inside. "It's all thanks to everyone's support," he said, pointing around the room. He had never realized how many people wanted to help if they just had the chance. As he looked around, Alex saw familiar faces. Olivia from accounting, setting up a table, Ethan from ethanating, talking to donors, and even Mr. Lawson showing off the shelter's achievements. The event had lots of fun things to do. With music from a local band Alex had asked to play for free, and tasty food from top chefs in the city. As the night went on, Alex was amazed by how generous people were. Donations kept coming in, even more than he hoped. People who had once ignored the homeless were now giving their money and hearts because they were inspired by Alex's and Lila's hard work. At the end of the night, Alex went on stage to thank everyone. He looked at all the faces in the crowd and felt a lump in his throat. This wasn't just a successful fundraiser. It was a big celebration of community and kindness. "Thank you all for coming," Alex said, his voice shaking a little. "A few months ago, I wouldn't have believed this could happen. But thanks to everyone's kindness and support, we've raised money for the shelter and shown how important it is for the community to come together." Lila's kindness and strength showed Alex what real success meant. He saw how she helped others even when she didn't have much herself, and how she was friendly to him even when he was mean. Lila taught Alex that success wasn't just about having money or a high job. It was about making a difference, helping people, and making the world better each day. He thought about all the good things they did together, like fundraising events and improving the shelter. He felt happier from these achievements than from his old job successes. Alex promised himself he would keep being kind and help others, just like Lila. At the community center, everyone was excited. There were colorful balloons and streamers celebrating the shelter's success. Alex felt proud seeing his new friends and the happy people around him. Mr. Lawson came over and told Alex he had done good work. Alex thanked him and said he couldn't have done it without Lila's help. Lila joined them, smiling, and said they made a great team. They looked around at the happy faces, kids playing and people talking. Volunteers and shelter residents were now friends, helping each other. Alex thought about their future plans and felt proud knowing his work was making a real difference. When they raised their glasses to celebrate, Alex felt happy and connected to his community. Mystery. Lawson then spoke, saying their work was amazing because it changed lives and brought hope. Would you have acted differently from Alex? Let me know in the comments. If you like this story, please subscribe to my channel. I work hard to write these stories for you, and your support helps me keep going.